Many know Bolliger and Maviar, or B&M, as one of the most dominant coaster manufacturers in the industry. They are known for many models, including the Dive, the Wing, the Hyper. The most original B&M, because it was one of the first of its kind, was the B&M Invert. These are personally one of my favorite rides that B&M has ever built for their sheer intensity, rapid-fire transitions, and an overall compact layout to give a thrilling ride experience. But I have to face facts that I don't think B&M Inverts are coming back to the US or North America in general. I just don't think they're ever going to be coming back to America. I mean, yeah, I'm sure they're still going to be built like overseas, but in the US, no. And stay tuned because I'm going to give you every reason why B&M Inverts will not be coming back to the US. So, a brief history on the inverted coaster. It began as Six Flags Great America when they built Batman the Ride. I mean, many people probably know this model because it is at most, if not all, Six Flags parks. It was the first ride that Six Flags decided to clone across the nation as a way to bring in tourists because B&M Invert model, it was something never seen before, so people will riot despite how many clones there were because there weren't many B&M Invert models at the time, which was after 1992 when it first opened at Great America. But after this, parks took notice and they built many inverted coasters across the nation. B&M, they built the tallest invert with Alpengeist at 195 feet, arguably the best B&M invert, Montu, built rides such as Afterburn, Silver Bullet, the invert and just went on and on for decades. And in 2014, it ended, with Banshee being the last invert built at Kings Island in 2014. It's been currently almost 6 years since the Banshee was built, and there isn't any other B&M inverts that are being built in America, and there's no rumor for anyone in America, and that's it. There aren't really any being built anymore. And it's a very easy answer why. It's the fact that B&M inverts, they reach their demand. There isn't a demand for them anymore because if you notice, most parks have B&M inverts. Like most major parks that's owned by a major corporation, or even some smaller parks, they have an inverted coaster. Six Flags, they're never going to get an invert because they don't require any of them because of the Batman clone. Like, they ruined any opportunity for a custom invert layout. They decided to copy and paste the Batman to pretty much every single Six Flags park because it was a popular model and Six Flags didn't have any problem with it because they knew they'd get a return on investment for this model because since it's cloned so much, they're cheap. That's why SLCs and boomerangs are everywhere because they're cloned everywhere, so they can't. B&M can sell them for a high price when they're pretty much everywhere in the country or the world. Then there's companies like Cedar Fair. They were the last ones to buy a B&M invert, but that's it. Pretty much every major Cedar Fair park, they have an invert. Like Knott, Silver Bullet, Banshee, Kings Island, Afterburn, Carowinds, Raptor, Cedar Point, California's Great America Flight Deck, they all have inverts. And then there's like Canada's Wonderland, they don't have a B&M invert, but yes, they do have an inverted coaster because they have Flight Deck, the Vekoma SLC. That was another contributing fact why many parks won't want to get inverted because they either have an SLC or they don't. And the people that do, they're not going to get an invert because they already have that inverted coaster in their lineup, so they don't need another one. And sure, there are smaller parks in the Cedar Fair chain that don't have one, like from Valley Fair, but we know Cedar Fair, they don't like pouring investment into there. I really wish they would, because Valley Fair and invert would look pretty good here because there's nothing that far up north like it. But Cedar Fair isn't really on the focus on that. And there's so many other models that Cedar Fair doesn't have in their parks that work better than invert. Pretty much all their parks have inverts, except like King's Dominion, but that's for a reason with the SeaWorld parks. SeaWorld parks, three of them have the invert coaster. SeaWorld San Antonio, both Busch Gardens parks, which is why King's Dominion doesn't have an invert, is because Busch Gardens Williamsburg, they have Alpengeist, which is the tallest invert coaster at 195 feet. Oh, they wouldn't add a B&M invert over there. They need something original. Same reason they would never get a dive coaster at King's Dominion. SeaWorld, I mean, yeah, they are pouring a lot of money in the parks, and we know they're working with B&M with Emperor opening in next year. In SeaWorld Orlando, no, they're close to Busch Gardens, so Montu's already filling an invert lineup for Florida. And then SeaWorld San Diego, I don't really see that, considering the closest park is Knott's Berry Farm with Silver Bullet, so they don't need an invert, really. There are other rumors for other coasters coming here. I mean, they're rumored for a launch coaster in 2021, So they don't really have that on their mind. They're already getting a B&M with Emperor, so they don't really need one anytime soon. These major corporation parks wants to look for an invert because they're willing to put in that big investment for B&M, because remember, B&M isn't a cheap company. Corporation would be more likely to buy one because they're able to afford this and place it in their parks. But these corporations, they already added inverts, so they don't need another invert at the same park, so they're off the market for B&M inverts. Then there are these parks like Dollywood, Silver Dollar, and Kennywood may get an invert in the US sometime in the future, but it's not likely because, like Silver Dollar, they're close to Six Flags St. Louis and Worlds of Fun, so and they both have B&M inverts, so Silver Dollar is likely to get something different that will give people a different reason to come and not just something that is offered somewhere else. Like Dollywood, they already got Dragon Flyer, which is a family suspended coaster, but it's basically in the eyes of the public, it's an inverted coaster, so they don't really need one when they already have this smaller version of that here at this park. And there's small parks like Kennywood or, let's say, Silverwood. Ones aren't owned by major corporations, so maybe they can't afford a B&M, and if they were going to get a B&M, they won't want to get an invert because it's already everywhere, and they're not as crowd-pleasing as they were back in the 90s. So they're likely not to get one. If they want to get something to bring in public and they're going for B&M, they're like get the dive coaster because, you know, they're really crowd-pleasing. There aren't that many in America. That's why they're so successful right now. Same with the wing coaster. There aren't that many. And inverts, they're everywhere. That's the problem. So I don't think any more B&M inverts are coming to America because demand's been met. No park's gonna want them anymore because they're everywhere and many parks in the US already have one. So there isn't a need for any more inverted coasters here. I mean, that doesn't mean B&M isn't going to stop producing them. If a park wants one, they'll build it. I mean, look at like Groneland in Europe and Sweden. They're building the Blue Harvest coming in 2021. That's an invert. It looks pretty solid. So inverts are not gonna end. If a park wants one, they'll build one. But the problem with the US, most parks already have one, so there isn't many options for an invert to come to a park sometime in the future. It's sad, but that is just the truth. So comment down below on what's your favorite inverted coaster, and is there any park that you think I missed in the US that you think could possibly get a B&M invert? Remember to hit that subscribe button so I could keep creating content like this, and I'll catch you guys later.